Hello everybody, Chris here with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal in Southeast Florida. These damn ducks are everywhere, man. We are heading to a repeat client right now. It's in Palm Beach, Florida, which Palm Beach is a separate island of Florida connected by two bridges. Well, two bridges. It's connected to Florida. It is a very wealthy area. That's where Trump has a house, or used to have a house. I don't even know if it's still there or not. It's probably still there. That's where the whole Epstein documentary thing was based around. And as you can hear, it's starting to rain out. And it's a very wealthy part of Florida. It's like Billionaires Row. It's like a long street of just billionaire houses, all that fun stuff. So we're headed there to pick up a hospital bed, a full-size mattress, box spring, maybe the frame too, and then we are getting a couple of other items that I don't know what it is. I was trying to decipher if I could just bring my truck instead of my trailer as well, just because they have tighter roads, and if I don't need it, I'd rather not have it personally in certain predicaments like this. But it sounds like there might be a couple of items, so we're just gonna bring it just in case. And it is progressively raining even harder, so that means we get to wear a raincoat, aka our hoodie. And I was gonna show you guys something on the trailer and ask you guys a question about it, but now we're not gonna do that because it's raining. So I'll try to do that next time, and I will see you in Palm Beach. I am literally soaked. Like, I just took out the trash 10 minutes ago and I was like, wow, it's gonna be a hot day. Huh. Joke's on me. Look at this. My jacket is heavy. Ugh. All I did was get my trailer. The inside of my car is wet. My pants. You guys wanna see my pants? You wanna see my pants? Look at this. Look at this. It's wet. It's just wet. And I guarantee you it's gonna stop raining in like 2 minutes. It's already like calming down. It just stopped. Now the noise is just from the trees. Fucking Florida. All right, so this is one of the few houses that we've been doing work in for like pretty much 2 years now. I need to get that mattress in the very back that me and my helper put back there like 6 months ago. And then this gray twin right here, and then behind that is the hospital bed. I need to get that out, but we have to move and create a path. And then we're taking this. So these two here. Try to rearrange all this stuff a little bit and try to do as minimal work as possible to get these out. All right, so I made a little bit of a path. It's been about less than 10 minutes. So I can walk in here. Now I can kind of get here. I just have to move those few things right there, which shouldn't be too bad of a deal. I don't think they're that heavy. I don't remember. We've moved so much of these houses. It's crazy. There's like 5 storage units that are just, they're like 10 by 30s and they're packed full of bins all the way back. This lady has like 5 houses on one street. All right, so we got those. Now basically just gonna move all the cabinets, bookcases this way, move this thing out of the way, and I'm pretty sure it's this that I'm supposed to be taking. So I got that out, and that's technically everything in this room, but I don't know where the legs are, and I kind of sort of remember we moved that and we're like, oh, we gotta get the legs. but I don't know where we put them because originally we were told that everything in this room is going to get cleared out at some point and it's going to get put back into other rooms. So I figured eventually we would find it. So this is being donated to a friend of theirs that owns something, I don't know. I didn't know it was gonna be a delivery though, so we're gonna have to figure out pricing for that. But at the moment, I don't know where the legs are. So we'll see what happens. I don't even know where to look, to be honest. I can't just stay here all day looking for legs for this thing. Someone asked me what to do when you have mattresses, because obviously you can't use the mattress bars, and I said to just carry it down the stairs. So I feel like it's pretty common knowledge how to do that, but I'm gonna show you just in case. You need wingspan, so if you're really short, you have tiny arms, it might be a little harder for you. But you could do it up to a queen. Kings get a little tricky, but up to a queen, you should be able to control it carrying downstairs. Unless it's just incredibly heavy, which does happen, but I'll show you. So your bottom hand, you're grabbing the bottom of the mattress. There's no handle, you're just gripping. So, see, you're just grabbing it, just like that, just grabbing it, and you're just getting a good fist. Your other hand goes up top, and you carry it on one side of your body, and you just carry it out like a big piece of glass or a big piece of wood. Same process. And when you get to door frames, you just squat down, so you can feed out your way, and that's it. Surprise, there's more. And then we're taking those. So I'm actually gonna break this into two, only because I'm gonna have to carry it the same way as the mattress, but to get past the scaffolding is kind of awkward. And this is like one of the heavier stupid brands, and it'll just be a little easier on myself so I don't accidentally trip around the scaffolding. So these two bolts up here, disconnect the wire right here, and then same thing on this side, and it comes apart into two, and then you carry them out one at a time. So sometimes they're a little different, but usually it's just a bracket holding these in. So the nut just comes off, a couple of washers, you pop, this whole thing pops off. I just put it back on because we're donating it, so that way they have the same pieces, but this whole thing comes off. So it'll be the same thing down here. This will come off, I'll put it on one side so they don't get lost, and just like that. And then you just follow the right wire, number 3. So they're pretty straightforward to take apart if you ever have to bring one downstairs and you're by yourself. I've carried the queens downstairs by myself. I've carried the king. You don't get the kings too often. Usually they split into two. I have had a few of them though. They're heavy, yes, but if you get a good grip and you have a good open staircase, it's definitely possible. It's just not very fun. But if you don't want to strain yourself, or just you get one of the heavy ones, some models are really heavy, especially when they first came out. Those things suck. The only good news is that they're a little bit more firm versus like a big king mattress, but they all come apart the same. They all split in the middle. The bigger it is, it might have multiple hinges, but they all usually disconnect the same, and then you just find the wire disconnected. If you have to disconnect multiple,
it's good to try to keep it tagged in some way or take a picture of it so you know what goes where if you're delivering it or if you're donating it, just so they can put it back together properly. And then just make sure you keep all the hardware. Now I'm gonna carry this the same way I did the mattress. I'm just gonna grab one side on the one hand, the other hand up here, carry it down nice and slow. I'm gonna have to dip down and go weird angles with the scaffolding because you just gotta do what you gotta do. But after that, that's gonna be it for this house. We're gonna drop this off at a charity that he wants us to go to that's kind of on the way, and then we'll head out of here. So they're adding on some like fake flowers right now. I came up to get my water. Now we're going, I actually forgot, we're going to the other house to grab a couple pieces. Don't know what it is, don't know if it's upstairs or not. Whatever it is, we'll get it done. I just called my neighbor about the estimate because it's supposed to be like 1 to 2, and I'm still here. So we're pushed it to 3 to 4. So I might stop by the dump and see if I can get through that kind of quickly, because I thought it was gonna be like 2 mattresses, and I was actually considering bringing my pickup truck. But because it's 7 of them, I'm glad I did it. So go to the next house and see what we got. And never mind, literally as I ended the video, the neighbor called me back and asked me to do Saturday afternoon. So we're definitely gonna go to the dump now because we have no more time restrictions. And that's that. All right, so we're at the third house. I didn't know we were coming here, but we're gonna grab this little pile here. Got a couple of contractor bags. And then over here, you got this little table here, just the table. So I'm just gonna try to, I was gonna try to break it more, but I might just take it as is. It's not like heavy or anything, it's just awkward to get through the little door with everything else in the way. Oh, maybe we got this. Oh, maybe it's all wet. Ow. Kick up and hit me in the face. Huh. All right, so that's everything. We're gonna bring that to the guy to drop off for delivery. You gotta cover the mattress bag, which is good because you can already see it got wet. And we'll go to the dump and get rid of everything but the plants. And that'll be it. So we're just trying to get off this damn street because the problem with this place is that there's always services going on. And they're all like one-way streets. So you kind of get stuck if you have a lot of services on one side and then you're weaving, and they don't put trash in the grass because they make the grass look bad, and this is a high-end area. So they have to put all the leafing and palm tree branches in the road, which obviously you have to weave around along with the cars, and it's just a whole mess. That's like one of the annoying things about this place. But you gotta do what you gotta do. So the way I actually met this customer, he called me over when I was at a different job in an apartment building. This was actually for a professional organizer that I had contact with, but every time I tried to work with her, she would say my pricing was too expensive. I think she's just on the cheaper side of things in general, like her services too. So when you come in and say, oh yeah, it's gonna be $600 for this job, like that's a strong percentage of what like their allowance is for the organizing job. So I just never worked with them. Every time I quoted them, they're like, oh, that's too much, can you do this? And I'm like, not where you're trying to get me to go. Like, don't get me wrong, you're a professional organizer, I'd love to work with you, and you know, I'm willing to work with you on pricing, but every time she called me, it was going like pretty much on the border of where I operate, or even a little farther. Like, I'm not gonna drive an hour somewhere to go do a full load job that should be around like $650, and you want me to do it for like $300. Like, I'm just not gonna do it, it doesn't make sense. So I never actually worked with her, but she had a client that had a bunch of empty boxes. She sent me a picture of the thing stretched down the hallway like 30 feet. Unless I sat there and cut up every single one, it was gonna take up at least a quarter of my truck. So I told her it'd be around 200 give or take. Like, I did a little lighter because it's boxes. And she said, oh, that's a bit more than we were thinking. We only really need it because the building needs it out because it can't be out there, but they don't allow that much trash. You know, can you do like 100? And I was like, hell no. I'm not driving 45 minutes out there to do a job for $100 and then drive 45 minutes back. No way. And this is like a high-rise building, by the way. So it's not even like I can just pull up and do it super fast and easy. Like, this is a hassle. I had to provide my COI to go pick up a couple $100 worth of boxes. And that is where the problem came in. When I went to go do my COI, there was like 20 people also there doing work, doing contracting work, all kinds of stuff. And I couldn't like get to where I need to be in order to do the job. So they told me I had to wait until the pressure washing company was done. I was there for like a half hour. I was also trying to give them my COI, which nobody told me about. The lady's there doing contract work. She didn't bother to tell me like, oh yeah, don't forget to bring your COI with you. She didn't even bother to tell me that. Like, that's good information to know, especially like when you're having another contractor come out to do a job for your client. You should tell somebody that. Didn't bother to tell me. And then when it came down to like giving them the COI, they had no service, so I couldn't get on my phone and I couldn't access anything. And it was just a whole like mess. It was really stupid. And I was there for like an hour before I actually did the job. When the pressure washing people left, the other company who was doing contracting work left a bunch of like drywall dust on the ground, thought it was me, and said I had to hose it off before I could start the job. And I was like, that's not mine. I just got here and I'm not doing drywall stuff. And they're like, it doesn't matter. You're actively in that spot. So it was the stupidest fucking job ever. And I was so pissed off. And as I was like doing the job, this guy drove by and he's like, hey, sometimes I need junk removal for this property. Are you able to work with us on that? And I was like, yeah, you know, sure. Like we'll talk and we'll discuss these things. And I ended up doing umpteen jobs for him. Try to get out of this illegally parked spot that I'm in. Coincidentally enough, though, the guy behind me did the same exact thing on the other side. So we're both in the wrong. Oh, I think I got an opening. I think I got an opening. Yes, I do. Can I get around this van? Yes, I can. Here we go. Perfect. Cool beans. Oh. You're not even looking at me. You have no idea that I'm here. Crazy. All right, so yeah, I ended up, when I was talking to him on the phone, I was like, yeah, we do junk removal. This is the kind of stuff we deal with. And he was like, great. I also have movers that aren't really working out for me anymore. Is that something you can do as well if we just need some like transitioning in between houses? I said, absolutely. And I explained the whole breakdown of like, hey, I can do this, but you know, this isn't a part of the company. It's not a part of the service. So that would be like a separate side fee. We do hourly and transport, stuff like that. And they were super okay with it. So since then, that was like 2 years ago. It doesn't even feel like it, but that was about 2 years ago. And I have probably done, including like little jobs, just junk removal, probably have done 15, 20 jobs. And for moving, probably about the same, if not just a tad bit more. So we've done a lot of work, and sometimes I'm here by myself, sometimes I bring my helper. You know, it's just, they're real laid back, easygoing, like they always tip. It's just one of those perfect customers. And he's a estate manager for this lady who owns multiple properties. So it would be awesome if I can meet more people like him, where you just always have that like constant repetitive work where they understand how you work, they're not going to question things. You know, it's just smooth sailing. That's like the perfect situation, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people charge more, like they charge a premium just for coming over here because people have money. I personally don't do that. If anything, I would want to charge more money solely for the fact that parking is really tight and driving around is always a little tricky with a truck and trailer or like a large box truck. Like if I had a junk truck, it'd be fine. But like I've done moves here, not the best. Like driveways aren't really meant for parking. You're really stuck to the street. Sometimes you can't park right in front of the house because there's services there and everything's backed up. And even then it's still very tricky. So that's what I would charge more for if I could. Otherwise, I don't see the point in charging more money because they could potentially afford it. Well, not potentially, they could afford it, but I don't see the fairness in that. So that's just my 2 cents on the subject. But we're gonna go drop off this bed to this guy. I was told that he does charity-ish stuff, so I'm gonna try to see what else he takes, and I'll keep his contact, because if I'm up in this area, I can drop stuff off before I go to the dump, and that'll be very beneficial, because I go to my same dump no matter where I am. I'm comfortable there, and that's what I like to do. But the person I donate to is kind of south of me, so it'd be good if I could have someone up north, someone up south, and then kind of get rid of everything in between. So that would kind of be the game plan. I have to remember how to. I always use the same way to get off this island. Well, I'm not on the island anymore, but I always use the same roads to get back home. Oh, fuck, I'm supposed to be going north. Dang it. Alright, I have to turn around. I need to use my GPS. I don't know where I'm going. I'm lost. I'll see you guys at the dump line. So yeah, yesterday, I was gonna record the whole day yesterday because we did marketing. Yesterday was actually a really good day. I went to breakfast for one of the senior groups I'm in. They meet once a month, and they always eat at a new senior living facility. And well, not a new one, but like a different one. Sometimes they're new for me because they're in different cities I don't normally go to. So I always make it a point to talk with the person in charge to try to see if I can, coerce them into using us for junk removal. And at worst, I leave my cars behind. And yesterday we went to one that I've been to years ago for moving. And I've been there for a junk job once, but it was a really small job. It was like, I literally went to go pick up like a twin mattress. It was silly. And what are you two doing? Jesus. And I haven't been there since. So I stopped by and talked to the lady, and I did the tour and asked my questions I always ask. And she seemed relatively accepting of, having us work with them. So I'm going to be bringing by some brochures soon, and I'll drop off my W-9 and COI and stuff. And then one of the guys in the group is the executive director for another facility I actually went to probably 3 years ago to market. And when I walked in, one of the people were having like a temper tantrum and screaming at the people, and they had like 5 people waiting in line. It just wasn't a good time for me to be there to try to solicit myself. So I ended up not getting very far, and I just don't think I ever really went back. I always assumed it was a really small facility because you don't see it all, but it's actually like 7 buildings that go back, but you only see like the front one and the one behind it. So I just always assumed like, all right, this probably isn't like the best place for me to be at. And I stopped by because the guy who runs it is in the group. So I just told the lady at the front desk, I was like, hey, is so-and-so here? I just saw him like 10 minutes ago, but I had to take care of something else. I just want to talk to him real quick. Came over and brought me in and talked in the office, and he was super on board with it all. So I kind of got my foot in the door for 2 senior living facilities within like an hour span, and they're on personal connections. So, well, at least one of them is. So that was a really good situation for me. Our goal for the rest of this year is to focus on apartment buildings, especially because Tanya is coming out of property management. She's gonna have a really good like inside look and perspective on everything. So she'll know how to talk to them and what to say and really like get the point across. So we're gonna really be pushing for the apartment buildings. And I already went through and I just wrote down every single apartment building literally in my county. I'm not even halfway done, and I'm at 178, and I've only done like 3 cities. And that's not like all of them, that's just the ones that showed on maps. Like you can look up different wording and get different results. So that's a lot. We're gonna be doing that for like the rest of the year. And then our goal next year is to really focus on more commercial jobs and working more with situations that put us in front of like property cleanouts. So like foreclosures and evictions and realtors, property management, commercial spaces. That's our goal for next year. And our idea is to make this whole system where we can really work with like donators and organizations and nonprofits, where like let's say we go in and do a property clean out, we'll have totes set aside, and we'll set aside kitchen sets and china sets, and we'll set aside toiletries and cleaners that are still on the newer side. We'll set aside food and stuff we can donate, and we'll just get a good system going where we can pretty much donate like 75% of cleanouts, where normally we can do like a quarter of it because we just don't have the means of handling that. But if we can get a good system going and have people on standby ready to accept stuff, then we can utilize our time a little bit better and really make it worthwhile without having to go through like a whole storage system. But that's a game plan. So our goal next year is to really push with realtors and getting in front of all those other eyes. And right now we're kind of taking action with getting ourselves into networking groups that revolve around that. And then also starting like January, we're going to be doing like mass marketing to all those places I just mentioned. So the goal this year is to kind of blast our way through apartment buildings, and then next spring is going to be pretty much property related. So that's the goal. We have some like personal goals with the business that we want to do. I'm not going to talk about because I feel like they just get misconstrued, but it's going to be like vehicle upgrades and storage units, and we would like to do a consignment shop one day, but office spaces down here are just so fucking expensive. Like there's a lot of places near us that are constantly having to relocate offices and having to close leases because everyone increased their pricing. There's a couple of shops nearby me that have been in business for like 30 years, and they had to close up shop because the landlord increased all of their rents by like thousands and thousands of dollars a month. Like there's this one like wine shop that's been there for like 15 years, and I've been there once before for catering. We had to get a specialty wine that Total Wine didn't have, and they did. And it's a nice shop and they keep pretty busy, but they posted on Facebook that the landlord increased their lease. They almost doubled their like rental price, and they just couldn't afford it anymore. So they had to close up shop. There's just nothing more you can really do about it. And there's a lot of that going on. So it would be hard to get a space big enough to have a consignment shop that I feel like would be worthwhile because you need a big enough space that you can get enough volume put out, so that way you can actually make enough money to make a profit. Like it's not just saving on the dump fee, but you would want to make a profit. You would need to pay for enough bills to cover all that, and you would need to have an attendant there at some point during the day. So it's gonna cost money to do. Like I did look into it a little bit without going too like deep, but it's costly, and we would need a lot to keep that going. But that is kind of a goal. We already have a name for it and everything. But yeah, that's kind of the goal for like next year. So right now we're just kind of focusing on operations. We're gonna try to create systems and make things a little bit more efficient, smooth, and then we're gonna Tanya's gonna be transitioning from a W-2 job into self-employment. So there's gonna be a lot of obstacles she's gonna have to overcome and get used to. But she's gonna be doing more of like marketing and networking when I'm still working. And she'll work with me on jobs, but she's not gonna be like on every single job. Like I'll still go to do jobs like this by myself. There's no need to give her extra labor that she doesn't need. So like while I'm doing this though, she can go to a networking event and, you know, spread the business. And we'll get to the point where we have to hire somebody part-time or full-time and, you know, kind of build that way. I'm just not good at doing that myself. Like that lack of control I don't like. I'm really dreading having to hire somebody just to have them fuck you over in 10 different ways. And I hear about it every day. I'm in a networking group with other business owners. Every single day we have a group. Somebody is saying something negative about an employee. Like, oh, they stole from me, or they went out and they, you know, even though you may have like a DBA, or not DBA, a non-compete,
know, even though you may have that, people still go out and will try to steal all your business, and now you take legal action. That costs money. That takes time. That's a hassle, a headache. You know, there's so many things that people will constantly just do. They don't show up and then you're screwed, or, you know, they do something stupid and cause serious damage, or they curse out the customer, or they steal from them, you know, like the list goes on. And I'm just really dreading that from happening. And I'm not looking forward to it whatsoever. So, if it was up to me, I would rather find a way to just stay small and just pocket away my money and just do that for a couple of years, invest in some rental properties, and then hop out. Or get down to the point where I literally run off of referrals and we don't even do marketing. And like, we're not even on social media, we're not on Google or nothing. We literally just do jobs for referrals and people we know, and then just leave it at that. And basically just treat it as like a side hustle and, you know, stuff like that. But that's what I would personally want to have. I just know it's not that it's not realistic, it's just not probably the most feasible when you have somebody else's income relying on you. Like if I was single and I had my own house and I was comfortable paying the mortgage every month and I had that opportunity, I could pursue it. But that's not the case. And if you want to grow our family and, you know, do more things, then we need to make money, and you can't build a business without expending it, right? That's what I keep getting told. So there must be some truth to it, because that's what everybody does. I guess you just gotta deal with the most annoying part about a business, which is employees. Just weighed in. Now that I have a decal in the trailer, I don't have to do weighouts anymore. So it was 980 pounds. There's a recliner sofa back there from that job the other day, and then all the beds. I'm actually not getting rid of all the plants, but they're not really that much in weight, so I'm not worried about doing a weigh out. So it came out to $20.58. It's $42 a ton for trash, so I'm just under half a ton basically. Otherwise it would have been $22 or $21. That's half. $21. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of like what we're trying to do here. Is we're trying to expand, but we're trying to expand in our own way. I still don't necessarily want to do Google ads or Facebook ads. I don't want to do things that cost money until I like squeeze out all the juice I can get from all the other things that we do. So like when we exhaust all of the like networking connections we make before we start getting into like, this is just taking too much overall time, you know, or when we, you know, we get to the point where I'm doing all this stuff on Facebook and Nextdoor, but we're only making like so many connections off of it. Or we do all these yard signs, but you know, we're consistently only getting this much back from it. When that gets to the point where, okay, those aren't cutting it anymore, then I'll look into doing paid, you know, advertisements. But right now, I'm not in any of those positions. I'm not using networking to my fullest ability. I'm not using yard signs to my best ability. I'm not constantly on Facebook and Nextdoor like I should be. So until we do that, and then we start to see constant plateaus like month by month, then we'll look into other sources. Otherwise, whoa, there's a lot of trash here. There's no line. I was expecting it to be a little empty, but we actually got quite a bit going on here. Jeez, there's like 10 trucks in here. All right, let me squeeze in the middle somewhere, please. Oh, the ground's all wet. I hate when the ground's all wet. Oh, we're gonna be sticking out big time. Actually, I might go where he's going. Oh, I might be able to fit next to him, actually. I try not to get... I talked about this in my scrapping video, but I try not to get too close to cars and other trucks because, what you call it? Because when they throw stuff off... My buddy's here. When people throw stuff off their trucks, they shit hits your truck sometimes, you know, and I try not to have that happen because you're here at your own risk. So if anything happens, it's on you. So we try to avoid that if we can. I just ran over something with copper wires in it. I might actually go grab that same thing I just ran over because it had a bunch of copper wires in it. Squeeze in here nice, be out of everyone's way. Beautiful. Very, very nice. Let's go offload this super fast. All right, 6 minutes later, had to move all those damn flowers out of the way. Yeah, I have a question for you dump trailer people. How often does it happen that you go to dump stuff and you drive forward, but all the stuff doesn't come out? And then you just have to keep going back and forth to try to like push it out. I see it all the fucking time. And like I've had a full load of debris before that I'm offloading by myself. And like there's a guy that gets there and goes to dump all this stuff out, and he's still doing it as I'm leaving. And like to do like a full trailer of debris to take out probably takes me like 15 at tops 20 minutes, depending on like how small everything is. And I'm like, time wise, like it just seems like that's a really inefficient way of dumping when that happens. Like, is that does it just happen? Like things get moved around and they just sit perfectly to where they just get pinned? Like, is that a common thing? Because I see it all the time, but I'm also seeing it with like different people. So I don't know if it just happens to them once in a while, but I'm just seeing it all the time. So let me know if you have a dump trailer or a dump truck, how often does that happen where things are getting stuck and you're having to go? Because like I've seen guys that like they'll line it up and then they'll hit the gas and like slam the truck forward and stop and try to get the stuff to move. And they've had to do that like multiple times. Like I'm not exaggerating. Like I've seen it 5 plus, maybe 10 times. They have to sit there and then they have to back up because they're too far forward in the dump line, and they have to keep doing it. And it seems like such a hassle. I don't know. It just seems really inefficient to me when that happens, and I see it a lot. So I'm just curious, does it just happen? Does it depend on what you got, or is that what I'm gonna have to look forward to when we get a dump trailer? Because I'm gonna be pissed off if that shit happens multiple times. I'd rather just offload it by hand at that point. At least I have full control of it. So I'm just, and like I would imagine like that's not good for the truck to constantly be going like that and then just hitting the brakes. Like that can't be good for it, like with all that weight. And having the truck up like that on the hydraulics, I'd imagine that puts a lot of strain on the what are those, like the pistons that raise the thing up, whatever that thing's called. I know it's the hydraulic press, but whatever that bar is called, I'd imagine that's a lot of strain on that thing to be hitting the brakes like that when it's up in the air, because it's not at its strongest. So I don't know. I'm just asking questions. I'm just curious. Oh, it is pouring up ahead. All my plants are gonna get wet. They're not outdoor plants. They're not supposed to get wet. We're gonna stop at Wawa and get gas and get lunch. Actually, I have lunch at home. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll skip it all together, actually. We'll go home and eat lunch. But we're gonna offload all these plants. I'm gonna try to get this taken care of today. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'll line them up in pairs and quads, depending on like if they match. And we'll just get them posted for $5 to $15 a pair, depending on how nice they are. The good thing about them is I can just put them on the back porch and I don't have to worry about them getting wet. You know, so that's gonna be the game plan for the rest of the day. Otherwise, that's gonna be it for me. See you guys next time. Bye.